Welcome to the NPTE Final Frontier podcast, helping one student at a time. Visit NPTEFF.com to enroll today so you can pass tomorrow. Thank you for joining us here on the NPTE Final Frontier podcast. My name is David.
And my name is Emily. Today, we will be discussing falling behind in your NPTE studies. So, falling behind is something majority of us have struggled with while preparing for upcoming exams. And it's okay to fall behind at times. What's important is to adjust and move forward. So, the first thing you should do if you are catching yourself falling behind is determine, why are you falling behind? Is this something within your control? Or is this something outside of your control? So some examples of ways that we can fall behind that are in our control are due to procrastinating, or just simply a lack of studying, or even just setting unrealistic or unattainable goals regarding our study preparations, making too many things on our to-do list and simply just not having enough time to do them. Some ways that we can fall behind that are out of our control are things like medical complications, whether that's you getting sick, a family member getting sick, maybe your work schedule started to be more overbearing than you thought it was going to be. These are things that are outside of our control. But regardless of if they are in our control or out of our control, it's our responsibility to hold ourselves accountable and determine what we can do to help ourselves moving forward and get ourselves back on track.
And there's many ways to adjust that as well, especially if it's in your control. If it's in your control, you do need to take action. And it's more difficult sometimes than when it's out of control, because you are your own worst enemy in this case. You are doing it to yourself. You're allowing it for yourself. So I think something that Emily mentioned that's very important is recognition. You have to recognize that you are falling behind. You also have to recognize why you are falling behind. And now you have to address that. You have to address it as soon as you recognize this, because if you do not address this, it's going to prolong and it's going to hinder your chances of passing this examination. So you want to adjust this very quickly.
I think another thing, David, not to cut you off, but to go off that even further, is you said recognition. And I think to take that one step further, early recognition is key. As soon as you start to notice yourself falling behind, it's important to recognize that early on so you can adjust it as soon as possible, because I like to think of it as like a snowball effect. The longer you let it get out of control, the bigger the snowball, the bigger the momentum it is, the harder it is to stop it and fix what's going on. So the earlier we can recognize this and adjust it, the better off you will be moving forward.
Yeah, and a great way to adjust this is taking action. So maybe the lack of studying, create a study schedule, but create a strict study schedule that you know you can stick to. So of course, make it realistic, make it attainable. You don't want to set yourself a 10-hour studying day, which nobody would ever recommend, but you don't want to overload yourself. You also want to make sure that whenever you are starting to put this into action, that you do something like, you want to make sure that you're waking up early. You want to make sure that you have some sort of a guideline for what you want to accomplish in the day. If it's a lack of studying, you need to take that action. The best way to do it is to start studying. If it's a lack of taking practice exams, take practice exams. If you are finding that you're hanging out with your friends and your family way too often, it doesn't mean don't hang out with them and cut off your entire social system and support system. You need that support system. So do not cut them out. But you can also reduce some of that quality time together and spend that quality time studying. You can earn those breaks, earn that time with your family, earn that time with your friends. But you have to earn it. In order to earn it, you have to put forth action to just get this under control.
Yep. And to reiterate even further, you mentioned this is what we can do if we're falling behind when it's within our control. Developing that strict schedule, that strict timeline is key. But just remember, there are still things that can develop that are out of our control. And although we have that strict schedule, life sometimes simply just gets in the way. And that's okay. You shouldn't let yourself become overcome with stress and anxiousness if then suddenly we're not able to accomplish everything on our list because of something like a medical complication or something that's out of our control creeping up and getting in the way. We just need to recognize that and tackle it with a different approach. That's when flexibility comes into play, and finding different times to maybe push that assignment to a different day later that week or the following week when we're able to get those other priorities in line and taken care of. That's when you need to be flexible. But it's not to confuse that flexibility then with procrastination, because those are two different things.
Yeah, and that out of control, it could be very frustrating at times. It could be anger producing. It could be upsetting because you know what you want to do. You have that structure, but something just came up and it is out of your control and you question why now? Why me? You have to take a deep breath. You have to take yourself out of that situation, calm down, and you have to refocus on your examination. You have to refocus on your studies, and you have to refocus on a solution. So, like Emily mentioned, that solution, it may be restructuring when you are studying, restructuring what day you are studying. Maybe you won't be able to put forth as many hours, but maybe within the time period, you can do a little bit more. Maybe you can have more focused studying instead of being all randomized. So there's many ways to go about that out of control aspect. But of course, if let's say it is so out of control, you cannot focus, you do not know what to do. And even if it's in your control, at the end of the day, please reach out to anyone on the Final Frontier team. You do not have to go this alone. So if something does come up and you do not know how to adjust your schedule, you do not know how to focus, you do not know how to progress forward, reach out to someone on the team. We are fully supportive of you, and we will get through this, and we will find a way to get through this. What would you say, Emily?
I completely agree. And I think you just made a really great point that I wanted to bring up as well, is refocusing your attention. It is so important that when you do kind of notice that you're falling behind and you're able to make these adjustments and get yourself back into studying, it's so important to be a proactive studier and be there in the moment, focusing on your studies. Too many times I've heard students that are still just wrapped up in this stress and anxiousness of being caught behind, that even when they're studying, they're not fully there. They're not fully paying attention to what they're doing, which just leads to them kind of going through the motions of reading material, but not actually absorbing that material. Now, with that, if we're able to regain our focus and our attention and be prioritizing our studies, that is great. That's key. That's in the perfect world. But there are times in this imperfect world where we may not be able to kind of get ourselves back into the mindset of studying and be attentive and able to kind of retain the information because of life's other factors. If that's happening, close the book, take a reset, get more sleep, get some exercise, spend time with family, friends, whatever you need to do to get yourself back on track. But like David also said, if you take that quick reset and you notice you're still not resetting, you're still getting caught behind, you're kind of still in this downward spiral of stress and anxiousness, reach out to us. We are always here for you. We want to help you get back on track. Don't wait until it's too late, so to speak. But at the same time, it's never too late. But the sooner you can get this kind of tackled and be able to recognize this, we want to help you. So reach out to us as soon as this starts going on.
Now that you heard this episode, here is a quote from Will Rogers. Don't let yesterday take up too much of today. So warriors, everything with falling behind, guess what? It is behind you. Tomorrow is a new day. Today is a fresh start. So go seize your dream. You can do this, and we believe in you. You are powerful. You are strong. You are a Final Frontier warrior. You will pass.
Thank you very much for listening. For more information on the NPTE Final Frontier, please visit npteff.com. You can also check out all of our social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
Till next time, have a great day and a powerful tomorrow.